If you want to skip the important news and announcements and get right to this week's forecasts, I've got you. Scroll down to the description of this video. There's a chapter index that indicates every day of the week, and you can jump right to the date that you're interested in. For everyone else, welcome. I'm Michael Spremuli. I'm a professional consulting vibrational astrologer, and I'm here with your daily forecasts for the week of June 2nd, 2025. First off, I had someone email me a very interesting question that I figured I'd answer here. They basically asked, you do daily forecasts, weeklies, monthlies, you got the class. I like this question so much that I actually included it in this week's newsletter. But if you're not a subscriber, and you should be, head over to Blue Ridge Astrology. You can sign up on the main page, completely free. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 4 different layers of forecasts so that you know when to look at each one for specific information. So let's talk dailies, what I'm doing here, the little snippet for each day of the week. This is like your weather report. Bring a jacket, it's going to be cold. The sun's going to be shining, wear sunglasses. The dailies give you a bit of what influence you can expect to feel for that day, very much like the weather. And that can change radically from day to day. So it's a little snapshot in time letting you know what you might encounter during a 24-hour period. Then we have weekly forecasts, which I have in the newsletter every week, and it gives you a flavor for what the overall tone is going to be over multiple days. Now, here's the thing. Astrology is nothing more than cycles, nested in cycles, nested in cycles. So we could look at astrology for a 180-year period, or we can look at it for a 1-hour interval and see what's happening at that point in time. So weeklies, they run concurrently, obviously, along with your day-to-day updates, but they give you more of an extended type of tone that you can expect to run into for more than just one day. Then we have monthly forecasts. I just did a class this past Saturday where we're talking about the vibrational trends that last throughout the month of June. Now, this is where we start to get into those slower moving, longer lasting cycles. Think of the monthly forecast as like your climate for the next 30 days. What major shifts can you expect to experience? And then we have major astrological events or long-running cycle changes. Think of these along the lines of planets changing signs, eclipses, special events, long-running cycles like the Pluto-Neptune cycle. They're running in the background, and when something changes there, it's almost like a chapter change in a book. So it's important as you're looking to work with astrology that you're looking at the right level of forecast for your needs. You're not going to look at a daily forecast to plan a cross-country move, and you're not going to be looking at a long transit that's lasting months or even years if you're trying to figure out whether you should go out on a Friday or maybe just stay in. So I wanted to give a little bit of context for the different types of forecasts that I provide and when best to utilize them. If you have questions, of course, leave a comment below and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And if I can't answer them, I'll tell you that too. With all that in mind, let's dive into the daily forecasts for the week of June 2nd, 2025. Here is your vibrational astrology forecast for Monday, June 2nd, 2025. And the theme of the day is beware of surface level attraction. We're talking romance today. So here's what's cooking. First off, the 17th vibration is active. Now this by itself is a good thing because the 17th vibe has to do with our ability to focus on other people's stories. It often brings empathy. It enables us to see the world from their perspective. We're able to understand easily where someone is coming from. Well, that's good. That's actually a healthy component in any type of romantic relationship, whether it's just starting out or you've been in one for a while. But we always have to look at the planets. And here's what we're dealing with today inside of the 17th vibration. The planets that are aspecting are the Sun, Venus, Uranus, and Neptune. These planets spark and stir up this dreamy, romantic type of love where you fall head over heels for someone, especially because Uranus is involved. Neptune is what is magical for you. So when you run into someone under this type of influence, you might feel all dreamy and warm and, excited. It's like, oh, this is my perfect soulmate. And Venus is in there, so that's getting activated, and the sun puts it right in our face. And that may very well be true. You might end up taking a relationship to the next level. You might start talking about next steps. You might just run into someone on the subway and say, oh, this could be my future mate. Maybe it will be. But here's the thing that I want to warn you about. Because Uranus and Neptune are present, that can help you fall hard and fast, thinking that this person completes you. And as I said, they might, but you've got to seriously step back and ask yourself, are these just feelings of excitement and the newness of a relationship? Or is there substance there? That's when the 17th vibe can help you, because you can begin to connect with someone at a deep emotional level, which is looking beyond that spark of surface level attraction. Now, for those of you who may not be in a relationship, don't want a relationship, you may be saying, well, what do I do with this information? This can be incredibly helpful for doing any type of artistic pursuit, because it can help you immerse into an environment where you're learning about something that has to do with beauty, art, and harmony. The idea is this energy makes us attractive to magical and dreamy situations, be they people, places, or things. So we want to make sure that we're going in eyes wide open so that we're not just getting swept up in the energy, and we're actually able to know what's coming to the best of our abilities without overlooking any red flags. If you've got questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. And don't forget to sign up for my weekly Astro Alerts. They're completely free. They come out every Sunday, and you can do so right on the main page of BlueRidgeAstrology.com. Here's your vibrational astrology forecast for Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. And today's theme is about working on your enterprise. Ooh, sounds big, because it is. So what are we talking about here today? Well, first, we got to look at the vibration. And the activated vibration is the 5th. So the 5th vibe has to do with this playful exploration energy. It's when you have fun learning, discovering, and figuring things out. Think of a child at play. So things are generally pretty easy and fluid inside of the 5th vibration. But what about this enterprise component? Well, we have to look at the planets to see what's going on there. The active planets of the day are Mars, Jupiter, and Pluto. This is all about expansive energy, something growing, something big, something that's important to you. When Jupiter shows up, it most often expands whatever it comes in contact with. Well, it's contacting Mars, which is the planet of action, and Pluto, which is the planet of compulsion. So that's even more energy and action. Today's energy is such that it should enable you to explore things that are important to you. As I said, your enterprise, not necessarily working for the company's enterprise, but whatever you've got going on in your life that is important and on a grand scale. Could be a move that you're thinking about, maybe acquiring a new piece of furniture, maybe looking for something that is going to help expand the way that your family lives, whether it's adding comfort items or security items or who knows what. I don't like to get too focused on examples. I like to focus on the energy. So whatever is on your radar that you enjoy doing, that is attractive to you, that is welcoming, like Jupiter is, that's where you want to spend today, focusing in that direction. And the cool part is because all of this is happening inside of the 5th vibration, this shouldn't be a slog. You may have aha moments, discover something new, run into new information, and it's exciting and it's invigorating and the opposite of work. Expand your enterprise and see what comes up. You got questions? Leave them in the comments. Here is your vibrational astrology forecast for Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. And the theme of today is be aware of your environment. Why? Because you're going to be extra sensitive in it. Let me explain. First off, we are in the first or natal vibration today, so there are no overtones. This is basically where the planets are placed in the sky via transit. And when we're in the first vibration, it's really the basis for everything else. So it becomes important. Think of it as the building blocks for everything else. The planets that are active today are the Moon, Saturn, and Neptune. These planets make us hypersensitive to whatever's going on around us, whether it's positive or negative. So if you're in an environment where you're having a good time, good communication, things are flowing easily, that's a good thing. You'll feel that positively and hopefully enjoy that. Conversely, if you're in an environment where there's a lot of uneasiness, people may be fighting or bickering, or there's other undercurrents that are going on, you're going to soak that up just as much as the positive. When this transit shows up, it's important to make sure that you place yourself in an environment that is where you want to be as best as you can. Now, let's say you're in an office and you've got people fighting down the hall or whatever the case is. You don't want to get wrapped up into that. Get yourself out of that situation. You can't leave your job, but you can leave that situation if there's negativity happening. If you're in a meeting and people are talking about how they're going to restructure something and it really isn't all that ethical and maybe even a little amoral, that's not going to sit well with you either, because whatever environment you're in, that energy just flows to you. Expect your emotions to be a little extra sensitive today. Again, this could be positive or negative, but that emotional sensitivity and environmental awareness are the things that I would encourage you to focus on to make sure that wherever you are is a place that is in alignment as best as it could be with your values, morals, and your way of doing things. You got questions? Leave them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. Here's your Vibrational Astrology forecast for Thursday, June 5th, 2025. And the theme of today is complex, intense emotions. Let me explain. First off, we are in the 11th vibration, where we tend to feel a little restless. This restlessness is not the type of restlessness that you might think of if you're worried or concerned. It's more of a desire to do something. Sitting on G, waiting on O. In other words, not just sitting around waiting for something to happen, but we've got to be involved making something happen. The planets that are involved today are the Moon, Venus, and Pluto. Well, here's where the emotional intensity comes from. You've got the Moon that activates your emotions to begin with. Venus regulates what we are attracted to, often persons, places, or things. And then you've got Pluto, which adds compulsion and intensity into the mix. So how can this show up today? Number one, you might be a little possessive of people who are close to you. This could be family, friends, partner, romantic partner. And the reason that obsession shows up on the radar is because of Pluto. It intensifies whatever it connects with. So it's going to ramp up your emotions as well as what you're attracted to. Now, where this could create a little bit of a problem is if you let your possession of another person ratchet up. That's probably going to end up backfiring on you. So you want to keep an eye out for any type of interactions that you might have with people who could end up sparking this desire to be a little possessive and maybe even jealous. Another way this can play out is with intense inspiration. If you're an artist or creative of any type, today could be a day when you end up getting emotions so intense that you need to transmute them into something else, which is just a fancy term of saying you've got to channel it somewhere. Either you got to paint or take pictures or sculpt or whatever the case might be. So that's an example of using some of this potentially obsessive energy in an appropriate format. So if you're an artist, go create. If you're in relationships or having conversations with people, keep your obsession in check, because it'll be really easy to go down that path today if you are unaware. If you got questions, leave them in the comments. I'll answer as many as I can. Here's your vibrational astrology forecast for Friday, June 6th, 2025. Today's theme is about connecting with people at a deep emotional level. This transit is happening inside of the 7th vibration. Now, the 7th vibe brings this calm, quiet, internal focus, and often means that it's best if we unplug and spend a little bit of time alone, and you may choose to do that today. What it's not about is a raucous celebration or a lot of frenetic activity like we saw yesterday in the 11th vibration, but there's this calm, quiet stillness that is present. The planets that are active are the Sun, Moon, and Jupiter. So how do we put all this together? Well, the Sun, Moon, and Jupiter often brings other people to us. We want to welcome people. We feel connected with others on a grand scale. And these people might help open our eyes to look at things through a different lens, maybe a different culture, a different way of doing things, different belief system. So when we put all this together, the planets in the vibration, you may end up spending some time with someone in a one-on-one quiet conversation where you really get to learn about whatever's on their mind or the way that they're approaching a particular situation. But there's this emotional component that is the backdrop of the whole transit because the moon's involved. Whenever the moon shows up, it activates our emotions, feelings, history, and habits. The sun makes it front and center. So it brings those things up for us to look at. So let me tie all this together because I realize this sounds a little disjointed. What this vibrational aspect can do today is put you in a frame of mind to either meet with someone one-on-one or learn about others through books, video, TV, what have you, to really understand them at an emotional level. This is about emotional connectivity, whether you're doing it directly with someone sitting in front of you or learning about people through history and how they came to be. In short, this transit is about expanding your horizons so that you can have a deeper appreciation of how other people are wired to exist emotionally. Got questions? Leave them in the comments and I shall answer. Here's your vibrational astrology forecast for Saturday, June 7th, 2025. And here's a theme for you. Prepare to be disappointed in people. I know that sounds kind of grim, but let me explain what's going on here. First off, the active vibration is the 5th vibration today. This is a free-flowing, creative type of energy where people just kind of explore. I often describe it like a child at play, just kind of looking around to see what's what, turning over rocks and seeing what's underneath them. Well, the planets that are involved today are about driving high standards and having this vision of honesty, integrity, and having a really ethical perspective. Those planets are the Moon, Mars, Saturn, and Neptune. When these planets are active, we tend to hold ourselves and other people around us at a very, very high standard. And we might find ourselves saying things such as, why can't people just be real? Just lay it out on the line. Let's not beat around the bush, wanting to cut to the core of what's going on. That's Saturn's involvement. So how does this relate to the 5th vibration? You may be interacting with people who are just kind of maybe winging it and exploring today. And that could frustrate you because this ethical and high standard mentality is going to be front and center. So you might have very little patience for people who aren't committed to doing things the right way, the proper way. As if that wasn't enough, here's something else that can get on your nerves. People who are leaning into hypocrisy or coming across as superficial. Sounds like a great day, right? Well, it can be, because knowing this going in can at least give you a leg up to distance yourself a little bit. And here's where you can use that 5th vibration energy. If you find yourself in a situation that I just described, you can playfully detach. I wouldn't suggest getting embroiled in a knockdown, drag out conversation because that's not going to work. But allow yourself to pull back. People are going to behave the way they're going to behave. However, you don't have to tolerate that. If you have questions about today's forecast, and I suspect you will, drop them in the comments below. Here's your vibrational astrology forecast for Sunday, June 8th, 2025, the last day of this week. And the theme of today is get your act together. It's all happening in the first or natal vibration, so there are no overtones associated with today's forecast. What does that mean? That means the information and the energy that we're looking at is pretty straightforward. It isn't modified. It kind of is what it is. Well, what is it? We've got Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn all connecting today in the first vibration. This brings tremendous organizational ability. Here's why. We've got Mercury, which helps you connect thoughts and ideas and seeing the big picture. Jupiter makes the picture even bigger because it expands ideas and actions. And then you have Saturn there, almost like the referee saying, all right, don't grow too big. You don't want to expand too quickly because it may not be sustainable. When we put all this together, today is an excellent day to get a jump start on your week by planning what it is you want to go after and not just limiting it to mundane tasks. Spend some time focusing on your larger long-term goals. Swing for the fences because Saturn's going to be in there to let you know if you're swinging too far. It's kind of like a tightrope act where you want to think big, but you need to think realistically. And that's what Saturn helps us do. It keeps us grounded while still reaching for the stars. Tasks that require some mental concentration and focus and thinking, I hate to say this, outside the box. You're wanting to utilize this energy to experience some regulated growth in your world, however that looks for you, so that you're not expanding or going too far, too fast, and you're still able to maintain a sense of being grounded. If you got questions, drop them in the comments. I'll see you tomorrow for the start of a new week.